Hello, guys. Today we are talking about an RPG Maker game called Hylics, which was a couple years back the first uh, version of the game was published, and in the titles sequence you can see that is done by one developer named Mason. But today I'm not gonna talk about gameplay or mechanics in the game, but about story. Story as far as I get to saw it. Because at first glance, the Hylics presents itself as uh, a fantasy surreal game, but the characters, even though many of cutscenes with dialogue are nonsensical, have something to say. Those characters have relationships with one another. For example, Wayne, which is the main character, is familiar or is friends with Sam Snossa, a girl in red poncho, which is under the weather figuratively and literally at her home because there is a cloud above her head. And Wayne, for some fucking reason, wants to hide a warm burrito in his toilet. Yeah, that's the kind of insanity this game presents at the very beginning. And of course, there are some cultists in the city. There are some sages in dark corners of the map, and you need to collect token to unlock the final spell, which is granted to you through the power of television. And because every TV box offers you a different spell in this game, but you know the there is some story in Hylics, and uh, it's centered around Wayne, the moon, yellow moon guy, who needs to constantly die, be reborn, and uh, seek out companions and those companions aid him in this adventure the player is having. So, as I mentioned before, the some Snosa uh, is a friend of Wayne. There is like uh, Dedusmul, Dedusmul, which apparently is archaeologist of the city, and the final fourth one and my least favorite, Pangorma, Pongorma, the quote unquote boss. After which you defeat him, he joins your party, and his stats are very weak from the very beginning, especially if you leveled up on meat grinder to increase your health points and uh, you know. But there is like a tendency in this game to view technology as sacred or technology as manufacturer or manufacturing device. But uh, the, there is like a location in this game where there is like a mid boss which tells you to give him a password, and Wayne needs suppose to know this password. But every time you choose some ridiculous sounding names or titles, you guess wrong and you need to fight this mid boss in the end. And after all the let's say uh, creatures are dead and they remain dead, there is like the final boss with which I had the most problems because I needed a very potent and devastating spell, which I finally unlocked. And I'm like, an hour ago I finished the game, or 2 hours ago I finished the game. But the boss knows Wayne. The final boss knows Wayne and is like a king of the moon. But there is like a funny sequence when you are heading with your party to throne room of the final boss, and there are dozens of creatures and they splatter around you because you are so powerful and so leveled up, they are too weak to withstand your normal walking speed. So that's a little bit funny a little bit fun of this game. But as I said before, the final boss knows your name. He calls you by name Wayne, which is the main character, the moon guy. And after defeating him, he proclaims that Wayne, oh, forgive me. So there is some sins done by this guy. Maybe it has some link to cult in the main city, but I don't. We don't know for sure. Maybe there is more information on Wikipedia, stuff I didn't pick up on. But there is like the final boss also mentions that he's wired to the moon, and when he dies, the moon explodes. And by the end of the game, the moon actually explodes. And the adventurers are having a safe landing on a globe from which they traveled on the moon. So that's that. But I all at the beginning of this game, I feel that Wayne is a loser who doesn't know what to do, and the sages which from which you acquire tokens which help you unlock the spell say on the second meeting that that's life. And there is also a part when Wayne with his adventurers plays music for defeated mob creatures in the nightclub or some discotheque. But there is also another tidbit of information there, because the one of the party uh, members says play a tune, like you can choose which tune you wanna play from key buttons from 1 to 4th, and 5 is a switch sound. You can play whatever. This is your life. That's what game says to you. And in my opinion, the Hylics is a representation of a struggle of young adults or young people which need to earn rather than be given uh, some status. And of course, there are some characters like final boss and mid boss who are like wanting to preserve the status quo. So those are themes and just tidbits of plot in this game. I also sometimes am wondering why the dungeons look like anatomy of the Wayne corpse, or why there are the only thing that can instantly kill you after you have four party members is the moving statues, clay statues, which can one shot you. You cannot defend yourself even. But that ability to for clay statues to defeat you instantly allows you to go to afterlife when you can upgrade yourself. So that's the like constant cycle, death and rebirth, and also uh, some tidbits of philosophy where you are the life is strange. You most likely never be 100% sure what are you doing, but feel free to make mistakes, feel free to strive for things you want, and that's the gist of the plot of Hylics. And the name Hylics, for me at least, in this game, represents the gestures the characters use to use their special abilities. So that's that. For me, Helix represents those magic gestures and so on, and that's that. But Helix can be also interpreted as a type of adventurer in this game. Helix Helix sounds like outcasts or invaders, or maybe a little bit like nomad, or little bit of mm, I'm looking forward. Never mind. That's what I want to say about Helix, the first game. I haven't bought or played Hylics 2, but when when I will have time, I will check it out. And that's all for now. So uh, feel free to add a little bits of lore, because there are some cutscenes where there is displayed a yellow text, and during this time you need to very pay close attention what it says. I haven't memorized any of it or understood whatever that meant, but there seems to be also a character which is a narrator in this story, and he appears only when there is a next step, a next act. There are like three acts, I believe, and every act, every like break time during main gameplay um, shows you this gray character, which maybe is like a writer or a storyteller of adventures of Wayne and his companions. We don't know for sure, but we can safely assume that is the case, because there is no, uh, let's say, information which disproves that outright, or maybe I don't read Wikipedia thoroughly enough to know this. But in the break screens from gameplay, there is like Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, and in every act, the character of storyteller appears and needs to bump some levers, pull some levers, and bump some cogs and something like that. So this is as much as I picked up on, and for some let's say events in the game, you cannot explain it lore wise, because for example the spells are mainly let's say acquired by watching a certain type of television box, television screen. And the most potent spell in the game to defeat the final boss, which is almost mandatory, is a melting flesh or melting meat spell, which you acquire after placing all 3 or 4 tokens on the island in the special spots designated to them. And those tokens are governed by sages, which give you this token freely. But as I said before, there is like this life is life, that's life, and there is like at least one very important sage, the sage of death, and he he allows you to take his token for free, like every sage does in this game. But there is like the themes of uh, life cycle is present in this game, that's for sure. There is also a theme of villains who want to sustain the status quo, and there is like also a theme of being a loser, being in a group of losers, but slowly you are becoming more powerful and more let's say significant some way. You earn your way up, but this is very similar to what Anna Barbecue is trying to tell. But in Anna, the focus is mainly on performing your job, or ridiculous nature of job appliances and jobs who don't serve any significant purpose other to make a mark and be done with it. So in Anna, we explore the, let's say, stupidity of certain job applications and uh, so on and so forth. But this is a video about Hylics. So Hylics is more like more surreal than Anna, by which I mean in Hylics tells the story more surreal than Anna. It's much more cryptic, and you don't really know what to make of it by the end of the day. For and that's all from me. So that's the final part, and hmm, Let's say I'm very glad I finished this game and see ya.